Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Healthy Hints from Ham. Uh, June is Men's Health Month, and who better to talk about men's health than men? So, what we've done this evening is invited the men's ministry to host this evening's show. So, the show will be hosted by Reverend James Chaffin, and he's got his own guest here tonight. So, Reverend Chaffin, good evening to you and good evening to your guests.
Good evening, Sister Farney.
Good evening.
Appreciate being here. Remember the men's ministry, and got a great program tonight. Informative, engaging, and I'm hoping that we get lots of questions sitting around men's health because there's many different ways in which we can live healthier. In terms of I think about your social well-being, physical well-being, emotional well-being, so many different facets when it comes to just health itself. There's many different ways for us to get better in those areas. And so tonight we have two guests that are going to speak to those different areas. We have Brother Javon Fluker, who's going to introduce himself here and share a little bit about himself.
Good evening. Thanks for having me here tonight. I'm really appreciative of the invite. So, my name is Javon Fluker, and I am the Passion Team Coordinator for the African American Male Wellness Agency. We are over the African American Male Wellness Walk that hosts Black Men's Health Week, which totals up to a total of 7 days of nothing but health, informative, and community outreach events, specifically targeting the Black community, more specifically the Black males within the Black community. And our goal really is just to overload the community with health resources and ideas and connections and things of that nature. Our goal is to change the statistic and narrative on Black men health.
Thank you, Brother Fluker. And we also have Brother Kwesi Kambo, who joined our men's ministry meeting about a month and a half ago. Shared a very powerful testimony that I'll ask him to share again. The health advocacy ministry audience, if you will. But Brother Kwesi, I want you to introduce yourself, please.
Sure, just so glad to be with you this evening. My name is Kwesi Kambo, and I'm going to talk about health. I need to say right off the bat, I'm not a doctor. I'm not trying to sell anything. I just want to share my testimony. And what I know about testimony, it can be a very powerful thing. In fact, I used to select my doctors by their testimony. Several years ago, I had a doctor and he was overweight. He looked sick, and I wanted him to be my doctor. You know why? Because I figured he wasn't going to tell me anything about being healthy. Because I said didn't look healthy. Well, that was wrong. And so what happened over time uh, is that I thought I was doing the right thing, eating right, but I was eating junk food and processed food, and as time went on, I got over almost 220 pounds. I was obese. And beyond that, I went to the doctor and he says, not only are you obese, but you have diabetes. I said, what? Diabetes? How could I have diabetes? So it caused me to think about how I was living. And the first thing I did, and let me tell you, if you don't know anything about diabetes, there's you first get these pills, metformin, and then if it's really bad, you got a long needle with insulin, and I'd have to stick it in my knee, and then you have to prick your fingers, every day to see what your blood sugar was, and I didn't like that. So I said I need to make some changes. So first thing I did is I said I need to change my doctor. I need to look at a different testimony, a different way about living. And so I just did some research and I went online and I kept hearing about this thing called whole food plant based. And and I looked at what some of the doctors were saying, like Colin Campbell and Michael McGregor. But even more importantly for me, I found some black doctors like Kim Williams in Chicago, or Terry Mason and Milton Mills, and I saw what they were saying, and they work with, as some of you know, Trinity United Methodist Church in Chicago. Barack Obama used to go there, but these black doctors did an experiment with this predominantly black church about how to eat healthy, and they actually impacted the congregation greatly. So I did all of this research. I looked at a couple of films, Forts Over Knives and What the Health. I heard about some athletes, Tom Brady, Justin Fields, who ate this way. And so I said, listen, let me just try this. And basically, the whole food plant-based way of eating is no meat, but eating more vegetables, fewer processed foods. And then what I need to say too is I had to be more intentional about my lifestyle. What do I mean by that? I had to be intentional about how I moved, that's why I'm so glad we're talking about this walk. But but during COVID, one of the things I did, and just really just was such a blessing to my wife and I, we would go out to parks almost every day and walk and breathe the fresh air. So I was intentional about moving. And here's the other thing that was so important. I was intentional about how I slept. I made sure that I got to bed at a decent time. I wear a eye mask. I watch how when I eat to make sure that I don't eat around, time to go to sleep. And so I did this for several months, and I got a new doctor. And what happened about 6 months later, the new doctor called me all excited. He said, Mr. Cambone, you won't believe this. I said, what? He said, you don't have diabetes anymore. I said, what are you talking about? And here's what he said. He said, the changes in your body did not did not happen because of any medicine that we gave you. He said it wasn't the insulin, it wasn't the metformin. He said what you did yourself is what changed your body. And he said, matter of fact, I want you to get off all the medicine. Now I gotta tell you guys, I was saying, well, do I have to get off it all? And he said, yeah. And here's the kicker. He said, you don't understand the medicine we give you, it has side effects. I said, what? Side effects? I said, you didn't tell me it had side effects. Absolutely. I'll get off of all the medicine. So I quit, taking the medicine, and what I wanted to do now, and I feel like I have a mission, is just share my journey with particularly some other black men. So I went from 220 to 180, and here's the thing, the Salvation Army in my area, they love me because I was XL. And I'm the medium now. So I gave them a truckload of clothes, and they said, thank you. I said, well, give me a tax receipt. They said, listen, we'll give you a whole book. You keep eating them vegetables and give us your clothes. So they were happy. So I just want to tell you, just a couple things of how I did it. And one of the most important things that I did is I thought about, what is my why? Why do I want to get healthy? And this is what I would ask the men before you, because I'm gonna just be honest with you. It's a challenge. It ain't easy. If it was easy, we'd all do it like that. It's a challenge. So I thought, why do I want to do this? And I had several. One, I didn't want to be in pain, sticking myself. Then I've been married for 35 years, and to a wonderful woman. I said, I want to be there for my wife. And then I said, I want to be able to serve my community. And so if you have a strong enough why, then when the challenges come, you can make the right decisions. And so I want to just tell you, I'm 67 now, and I think I told the group on August 14th, I will be 68. I can't believe it. And I feel better now at 67 than when I was 37 because of these intentional things that I did. And I'll just end by saying this. I don't know the group all that well. Some of you I just met tonight, but I already want to invite you to my birthday party. Now this is a special birthday party. I want to invite all of you here to my birthday party when I'm 100 years old. Now think about this. I'm 67 now. So in 33 years, everybody on this call, you all invited to my birthday party. I'll be 100 now. Now we're gonna dance, so don't come with no rocker cheers or no crutches. We're gonna dance at my birthday party. I'm be 100 years old. But here's the thing that I want to say. If I'm gonna be there at 100, I need all of you to be healthy and be there too. And one friend gave me some good advice. She said, Kwesi, if you really get serious about this lifestyle and doing this, you're gonna have to choose some younger friends because because the people who are your age now, they may not be with you, when you're 100 years old. So I'm glad we're having this conversation, and I just look forward to seeing you all in 2034. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Brother Cambone. That's a powerful, powerful testimony because it's personal, right? It's personal, and I really appreciate the fact that you talk about the why. So the motivation behind wanting to make changes. Like some of I'll just share personally with me. Some of you know that for many years I was a personal trainer, and so I would work with individuals and groups to help them to get in better shape, to achieve certain goals and things, work with athletes. Um, you couldn't get anywhere with anyone if they didn't have a why. Your why could not be theirs. You had to decide that for yourself, why this was important, for you to make some changes or to work towards a goal. So again, I appreciate you sharing that testimony because again, it's something that we all go through, right? Where we're trying to achieve something, trying to accomplish something, and so we have to put together an action plan, and we have to take initiative. We really can't count on others to do it for us. So I appreciate that powerful testimony, which um, uh, I want to segue from that. It's a great segue into a question I had for Brother Fluker. So the COVID-19 pandemic has put the kibosh on a lot of things, right, that we used to do, such as, going to the gym 4 or 5 days a week, large gatherings with family and friends. Now, some of that is starting to change. We're starting to get back to some of that as we're getting fully vaccinated, and we're trying to, follow obviously the health guidelines locally, nationally, and things. But what are some things that at the African American Male Wellness Agency? What are some tips you've been sharing just with people who will be a part of the African American Male Wellness Walk and just want to maybe even volunteer? What are some tips you're sharing with people as they're just looking at men specifically? I'll say as they're trying to envision, okay, coming out of the pandemic and trying to live a healthier, more vibrant life.
Well, that's a great question. I will tell you that in the past, the former governor of Ohio actually declared the month of August the African American Male Wellness Month. So after we get done with June, we also have another reason to segue into that for August and to make that a priority. So really, it's a great time. It's a summertime priority. The weather is good. One thing that we have been working with at the African American Male Wellness Agency is we have a team of personal trainers, and they go out to communities and they teach workout exercises and stretches and things you can do just at home in the comfort of your own home and outside. It's really just engaging the community in a whole. Another thing we've been doing just across the board is breaking down myths about the Black community, about the African American community. Prime example, one of those myths will be opioids. We have a coordinator that has been running that program and really bringing awareness to how African Americans are affected by prescription or medication drugs in general. And we've really been pushing that narrative that it's not just for any other races. It's not, you don't have to be a certain skin tone or background, that it does affect us as well. So we've been pushing that. we have a lot of things that's going on as far as just mental health as well. Our Proud Dad team has been out here making it happen. We actually have a Proud Dad get together coming up. I believe they have a chef class where they'll be learning how to cook recipes and do all amazing things. Our good brother White is over that, and he pushes that Proud Dad thing to the max. So that's another good way. The men are able to come out, partner with their children, partner with their families, and really get into that aspect. And all that is actually leading up to the walk. So we do things year round, almost consistently nonstop. And even with COVID, we've been doing things virtually, partnership, the whole nine, all leading up to the walk, which is a real big celebration for us because the walk is, we're looking for that to kind of signify our post-pandemic stance. Like I said, at this point, we are having the walk. It will be August 14th. We're having that whole week with the walk ending on the last day of August 14th. And we're really, really excited to use that as a stamp to get back to who we are and what we do best.
Thank you, Brother Fluker. That's a lot. Chef class. I'm excited about that. Proud Dad's piece is really exciting as well because I think that especially for the young fathers out there, you spend all your time trying to be the best dad you can be, and you change diapers, you're making bottles, and then you go sit on the couch and maybe watch sports or something like that, and it can be hard to get motivated to get moving to things and to
Absolutely.
take care of yourself and prepare meals and things like that, and
Hmm.
be disciplined. So I appreciate all that your organization is doing, which is way more, way more than I thought of. But it's exciting. It's exciting because, as you said before, it's year-round activity, and I get the emails. Thank you. From the agency, and I know many of my friends do as well. So there's always that kind of like little knock knock tap tap on your shoulder, reminding you, hey, you can get
Hmm.
involved. It's easy to get involved and to get engaged and to uh, put together, as I said before, a game plan, to get better in terms of taking care of ourselves. So, having said that, I wanted to go back to Brother Cambone real quick. I have another question for you, Brother Cambone. So, I am in that group of people who are over the age of 25, and so many times what we do is if we're sort of set in our ways, if you will. We've been eating a certain way. We've had a routine, in terms of work and taking care of family and things like that. It can be hard to change. It can be hard to make a pivot. So again, my dad used to say, you get set in your ways and things. So what are some advice you have for even our brothers out there who are, they've been working for a long time. They're raising their family and things, or maybe they've already raised them, and they're just looking at, wow. I mean, I just heard that powerful testimony, but I don't know if I can do it. What advice would you give for those who are just really trying to figure out where to start?
Sure. Well, let me just say a couple of things. I mentioned to you it. I found out, fairly late, 67, that yes, I had diabetes, but what they told me is that the disease was actually starting decades before. So even though I thought I was healthy in my 30s and 40s, but it didn't show up till, I was actually in my 60s. So what I want to caution my younger brothers, just because you're out and you don't feel, that bad right now, some of the habits that you're doing can actually be lead up to something down the line. But here's just a simple answer to what I think is your question is, we all need to be in community. And I guess I didn't, and for me, as I was looking at first increasing my understanding of what I could do. I also was looking at who else can I talk to? Who else can? Now, I'm fortunate in that I have a wife who's been married 35 years, and she's been lockstep on this journey right with me. She's, I love the idea that we're cooking during the African American male walk, but she changed how she cooks and what she does. So you need community, and I just think brothers is so important to get around like-minded individuals. I ride bicycles, and I get on, I get with some of my brothers, and we all, get on bikes and we ride together. So it really does help, and it's so important that you figure out who your circle is. We all need a circle around us, not only to encourage us, but sometimes to push us. And so I just think if your why is strong enough, then you need to figure out then who can be in my circle who will help educate and motivate me, but sometimes even push me to do things when sometimes I don't want to do them.
I appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, yes, to all of that, especially when it comes to a circle. Um, I like to say that you need to have an accountability partner, which is essentially the same thing. Someone is going to tell you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear, or just going to make you happy, but it's going to help you to be whole. And speaking of that, Brother Fuka, I wanted to go back to you because again, we're still in the midst of this pandemic, and we're uh, thank God we're coming out of it. We don't know how quickly, but we're coming out of it and things. But one thing that we've definitely been made aware of is the impact it's had on mental health. And so, as men, historically, I'll put myself in that category. We have not been good at trying to address mental health issues or even maintain our mental health, and or even recognize the signs when we're struggling and we really need some help and things. You may have mentioned this earlier, and I apologize, but can you speak to some of the things that maybe the African American Male Wellness Agency is doing in that space, or even thinking about doing in that space, to help us to be more aware of mental health and why it's important, and getting access to different resources, but just more than anything to just uh, take it seriously, understanding that it's not just a pandemic, but the pandemic has it definitely made the mental health crisis in our country. It's kind of accentuated, underlined it. But if we're speaking just to males, if you will, for us, it feels like we definitely need to take this more seriously. If you could just speak to some of the things that the agency, or maybe even a different organization or something nationally that you're in tune with that can help us in that area.
Yes, absolutely. As of now, I'm also the Title I coordinator for the Academy of Urban Scholars Columbus, which is founded, and our CEO of the African American Male Wellness Wall actually founded the school about 10 years ago, a little over 10 years ago. So I'm under the umbrella across the board. So we have a health agency, we have a tech school, we have a charter high school that specializes in dropout recovery and prevention. So essentially, with me working within the Title I piece, we do have social emotional learning, and I would encourage that for everybody across the board, even as we're saying more specifically Black men. Social emotional learning is something we do with our students, and we are targeting our male population as they tend to shun away from being emotional. I don't want to cry. I don't want to admit that anger is a definite emotion. I don't want to be sad about things. I'm confused about this feeling. What should I do? So as of now, we're actually building a social emotional learning curriculum to introduce to our students, because most of our students do come from troubled backgrounds, whether it be foster care or homelessness or just being passed around from school to school, teacher to teacher, not fitting in socially. So therefore, they're with us for smaller class sizes and more engagement. We actually have engagement coaches that go out their way to do social emotional tasks as well. So whatever we see there's an issue or a lack of effort for within the Black community, our CEO and founder John Gregory makes sure that we have a new division for it, which is why we typically have a handful of programs running at one time. He'll do his research, or somebody come to him and they'll say, "Hey, Mr. Gregory, there's this going on with mental health." And he said, "Well, what can we do?" Absolutely. What can we do? How do we put resources? Who can we partner with? Who wants to take lead? The whole nine. So for our mental health, we are targeting the high school portion. We do have a male mentoring group, And within that male mentor group, like I said, we're really targeting the mental health for Black men at a young age, really as they develop. We get our kids between about 14 to young adult students, and we're talking about self-management, self-assessment, identifying emotions, what to do with that emotions, finding a safe place, asking them questions such as, when do I feel most safe? At what part of the day do I feel most safe? What are some of the things that my friends do that concern me? What are some of the things that my friends do that make me happy? What relationship, how would I describe my relationship in 3 words with my mom, and how would I describe it with my dad? Things of that nature. And it's truly opened up an entire can of questions that we didn't even know exist. And even mindsets that we didn't know existed. We have some male students that completely stand up for the female students. They're like, no, you shouldn't treat a woman like that, and things like that nature. And then we have some students who are completely open to me, educated, like, wow, I never thought of that. Or I never thought to take a minute and count to 10. I never thought to catch my breath. I never thought that when women show their emotions, it benefited them in this way, so I should do it too, or it shouldn't be a stigma against it. So, like I said, at this point, that's really what we're pushing through our high school right now. We're really pushing that social emotional learning, and we're encouraging people to ask themselves those open-ended questions that really get you thinking about your day. At what point of the day do I feel most anxious? And then you will honestly hear most of the students say, well, it's usually before the class that I struggle with. When I'm going to the class where I struggle, I'm very, very anxious. Or if I come to school and I hear that we're doing testing and things like that. And that's given us the tools to prepare as far as identifying who that student is, what their needs are, helping them out before that class, maybe the teacher offering extra assistance, or do you need me to slow down and repeat the lesson? It's also helping us identify, like, okay, let's start test days with hot breakfast and candy treats and a little music in the hallways to loosen the kids up and things of that nature. Our male students have honestly opened up in ways that we didn't even imagine, in ways that challenged us. We had about 8 meetings before we introduced our social emotional curriculum to our students. And the males were so responsive to it and so engaged to that mental health piece and that self awareness piece and that self management piece that we've actually had to double up on our efforts to find more resources and find more things to do. So we've been doing a lot of physical activities. Black children tend to learn better when they physically can participate and do things like that. So for the mental health piece, that's the absolute encouragement. Self assessment and that social emotional learning, truly learning about who you are within your triggers, your happy points, what you want 5 years from now, what you want 5 days from now, all those things, and understanding different words and terms. A lot of our kids didn't know what the word anxious really meant, and they didn't know what anxiety truly meant. And when they talked about mental health, some of the guys thought, well, it's only if you're like homeless and you're going through a struggle. And we're like, absolutely not. There are Fortune 500 CEOs that struggle with mental health. So just breaking down the stigma and the stereotype with that, and truly encouraging people to take just time out of their day to analyze their feelings and to dissect that little by little and giving them the tools to do that. And that's been a huge, huge benefit for our male population at the school.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I having any conversation like that in school. I was in high school, but that's the right age, as you said before, as these young men are developing. Well, they'll eventually be adults, right? It's the right
Yes,
time, to have the discussion and show them how to process emotions, which isn't the easiest thing to do. So the support that you're talking about are definitely key, and I love that this generation is coming up now, or they're open to that. Our maybe our parents, grandparents, great grandparents were not as open to that, about having a discussion and kind of understanding, as you said, you know, what self awareness is, what anxiety
mhm,
is, um, and be able to talk about it out loud, and being very comfortable, especially if they have a safe space in which to do that. I wanted to see if we
absolutely.
could thank you. I wanted to see if we can go ahead and transition to any questions that we have for the moment. I wanted to make sure you have time for those because we've unpacked a lot. And then I'd like to, towards the end of our time together, is to see just ask Brother Fluker. And Brother Cambone just offer a few parting words, if you will, just pieces of advice, if you will, for those who are watching tonight. Just some takeaways, so to have something to kind of chew on, to think on, meditate on after the gathering is over. But if we've got questions, if you have a question, go to put them in the chat box now.
I have a question for Brother
Okay,
Fluker.
go ahead, Sister
First,
Forney.
first, I want to say thank you for that discussion about mental health. Our church is on a mission to keep the mental health discussion going on. So thank you for that. But my question to you is, in the past, when I've been downtown and during the time when you were having your event, there's been lots of mobiles there from different hospitals doing screenings. Will you still have that this year? Because I felt like some men, that was probably the
Absolutely.
first time they ever got screened for anything, so.
Yes, absolutely. So we will at the walk, we will have screenings. We will have screenings, we will have COVID tests, we will have COVID vaccines. The screening thing is something that we do almost for any event, any large event. We do HIV AIDS, we do prostate, we do STDs, we give out information, inform people about diabetes and diabetes prevention. Like I said, this year we've really been tackling the opioid crisis, things like that. So there will be just as many screeners. Honestly, I think it'll be a few more at this point with the COVID situation. But yes, there will be plenty of people down there to screen, not only Black men, but also anybody that comes to support the walk. But essentially, that's absolutely correct. We will have those resources on hand.
Thanks. I thought I saw a question across the screen before I interrupted.
No, we did. Yes. So we got a question here, Sister Forney. What time do you go to bed? I don't know who that question is for, so we'll start with Brother Cambone because you definitely waking us with your testimony and things about, but you emphasize the importance of getting a good night's rest. So that question starts
Yeah,
with you.
yeah. Sleep is very important, and I'm sorry to say that it just hit me later in life how important it is. So I personally try to be in bed by 10:30, but more important than the time, I have now an intentional process that I prepare to go to bed. So I watch, make sure I don't take my phone anywhere in my room because that blue light can disturb your sleep. I try to calm myself before just jumping in bed. I don't stay up all night watching the news and TV. I make sure I eat early enough so that my food is digested before I go to sleep. So for me, as I started looking into this, I started asking myself, how can I be intentional about my routine? Now, my routine may not be your routine. You may have other ways of what works for you. I'm just suggesting that people get something that works. Examine, explore. Some people take melatonin, which is a supplement. But for me, once I got that you know, diagnosis of diabetes, I said, I'm going to explore as many ways as I can so I can, sleep better. So that's what I would just say to that.
Mr. Fluker, what's your? Let's toss that question to you as well. Let's be fair.
Yes, sir. Thank you. I'm a big advocate for your mental health tying into your physical health, as far as emotional, physical, financial, all those aspects. I like to recognize that there are different layers to that pie when we talk about health. It's a whole thing, and adequate sleep is very important. And just like our good brother said, I do recommend a routine, whatever that routine may be: hot shower, bottle of water, brush your teeth, say your prayers, text your family, I love you. Whatever your routine may be, I do encourage that. And not only with your routine, I actually found a tip a couple months ago that said wake up between 20 to 30 minutes earlier. And I'm thinking you are crazy if you think I'm waking up any earlier. But honestly, it's been the best change in my life. So usually I'm up about 6:15 to 6:30 so I can actually be out the bed by 7. That extra 30 minutes allows me to take my time for my day. I'm able to stretch out in the bed a little bit longer if I want to. I'm able to stretch in the morning, go for a walk, take time to make my coffee. Not only am I getting a full night's rest for sleep, I'm getting 8 hours, whatever that might add up to. I'm usually in bed by then. And then I wake up a little bit early, actually, just because taking the rush out of my day has proven that I actually start my day in a better mood and I'm a lot calmer. So everybody's running through the door like, let's get this done, let's get this done, let's get this done. I have the same sense of urgency, but I'm a lot calmer because I had a full 8 hours plus of sleep. And I woke up just a little bit early so I didn't have to rush my morning and start my day off with that anxious vibe.
Thank you. It's 10 o'clock for me. It's 10 o'clock every night for me, and sometimes a little early depending on how the day went. Let's see. Other questions. More questions coming through. How do you help men find their why? I'm going to actually go back to you, Mr. Fluker, and then I'll have Mr. Cambone answer that question. How do you help men find their why?
So essentially, like I said, right now we're working with a lot of students, and not only are we working with a lot of black males, we're working with a lot of teenagers. And as we all know, teenagers know it all. So why are we even talking to them? They know it all, you know. Uh, so with that being said, challenging them and challenging yourself with open-ended questions that helps them find their why. I know for me, look really doing that self-assessment and diving into who I am and really thinking about every moment of the day and repetitive emotions and what helps me overcome those emotions and identifying good emotions. I know when I go to school and I'm able to help my kids out and I'm able to help out with the walk and reach out to the community, those are my whys. And that's because I've stopped to identify those happy emotions once that's happening. We had a graduation on Tuesday. We graduated, I think, 160 plus students. And like I said, we do dropout recovery and dropout prevention. So that's like a huge mountain to climb over. And in that moment, I stopped and recognized that I was feeling joy. I stopped and I said, you are feeling joy. You are feeling very, very happy. You're feeling encouraged. You're feeling excited. And those emotions in that moment tied into my why. And it reminded me that my students are my why. The community I serve is my why. Situations like this where people are reaching out about the walk and they want to learn more about mental health and physical health and financial health and spiritual health, things like that. In those moments, engaging the community makes me happy and I enjoy it. So therefore, that's my why. I wake up every morning to promote these exact moments. And I go to bed thinking, oh, I can't wait for these moments to happen again. And that's how I found my why.
Thank you. Brother Cambone, how do you help men find their why?
And first, let me say it can be different for different men. We don't necessarily all have to have or will not have the same why. But here's the first thing I would say is first have the conversation about why this issue is important. Because here's the thing, a lot of times this issue is just unconscious. We don't talk about it. So with men who I would talk to, I would say, let's have the conversation. What is your why? Let's talk about this issue. Because if it's unconscious, you don't, it doesn't come up. And so yeah, I told you I was a retired administrator in Columbus City Schools, and when I was in Columbus City Schools, I worked with a lot of young boys. And what I find when I get them in the room and I'm trying to motivate them, I know I can't do that till I can figure out what's important to them. So I just go listen. And if I create a safe space and just listen to them, I can find out what motivates that young boy. Might be basketball, might be girls, might be whatever. But if I listen, and here's what I did to turn around some kids. I listened to them and I figured out, what they were telling me they were into. Maybe it was music or whatever. But once I found out their why, they gave me a hook. I got you. Then it's over. because then what I would do is I would go in the area that I know drives you, and I would support you in that area, and then therefore you'd be willing to listen to me. So what I would say to men is, let's just have a conversation about why this is important. Let's make this unconscious thing a conscious, intentional conversation.
Thank you. Thank you. It's one of the questions we're getting. How do you register for the African American Wellness Walk? I think that's for you, Brother Fluker.
Absolutely. Thank you. So that's a great question. So essentially, like I said, I'm the passion team coordinator for the walk. And essentially what that means is you can sign up to customize a walk t-shirt. And with that walk t-shirt, you can specify your reason. So as we talk about your why, you now can specify your why. So if your why is Faith Ministries, you can put Faith Ministries motherboard, usher board, nurses, give anything on the back of it, and you can specify your why as you sign up. So I will make sure to leave my email and all my contact information. So therefore you can sign up and you can receive a shirt and you can specify your why as into the walk. We are also looking for volunteers, so I will shoot that information as well. And then, like I said, I will shoot over a complete flyer just so you know when and where to be at all times as the walk information continues to come out. But essentially, all you have to do is show up to the space, enjoy, participate, bring a friend, bring two, bring three, bring your neighbor, whoever you got, just snatch them up on the way and enjoy your time. That's all that we ask. But essentially, yes, I will be sending out the information. You will be able to receive that. So therefore, you can, like I said, get your shirt. You can specify your why, and you can join the walk as a walk member.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm excited already. It's not even till the middle of August. I'm excited. Excited. Thank you. Let's see what other questions we're going to get here. Okay, this one I believe is from Brother Kambo. On your weight loss journey, how did you fight the food cravings? Good question. Very good question.
Great.
Yes. Thank you for that question. It's a very good question. And here's something that I discovered along the journey as I started to get intentional about what I was putting in my mouth. They don't tell you this. I had to learn this, but your taste buds change. And the things that I used to have a craving for, the ice cream didn't call my name anymore. I could walk like and I didn't know that before. So if you get on a path where you intentionally are eating more healthy things down the line, pretty soon you lose the taste for the other stuff, and so that's what happened to me. So now it is there's no fight, there's no struggle, because I have been doing this thing so long. My taste buds has adjusted to, I love the taste of broccoli, I love the taste of kale, I love and so that's what I would just say to your audience, that if you just try it step by step, do it at your own pace. But if you go into it, long enough, you'll find that you develop taste for these new kind of foods, and it just makes the journey easier down the way.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
I have a
See what
question
other questions
for
we have.
Brother Kwesi.
Yes, sure.
Um, during your journey, did you do any type of physical fitness? Because my husband
Oh,
right now is trying to start some type of physical fitness, and he doesn't really know where to start without just going to the Y and picking up the weights. What did you do?
that's a great question. And for me, I don't like to necessarily talk about exercise. I like to talk about movement. So that,
Okay.
and movement can be as simple as, walking around the block. I bought a old jump rope, and sometimes we jump around it. I have you, you know and here's the other thing I want to talk about. And it's really the metropolitan parts saved me this during the pandemic, and that is that my wife and I would get outside. I can't tell you how important it is to breathe fresh air and be in nature and walk outside and so we would go around to all the various parts and just do that. So if you're starting, I would say find something that you love to do first. And again, I tell you, we like riding bicycles, and so I even got a Peloton bike so I can ride at home. So I would say start small, but do something that you like, but don't necessarily think about quote unquote exercise. Think about movement. Stand up, sit down, do the jumping jack. So the idea of just moving, and you talked about the mental health. There is a direct correlation to how we move these bodies and how we think. And so I just encourage people, to just think about movement and just like I say, I'm very intentional about what I put in my mouth. I'm very intentional about how I move each day. I think about it beforehand. What am I going to do to move today? Maybe it's cutting my grass. Maybe it's gardening. But I'm very intentional about just how I move the body.
Thanks.
Thank you. I appreciate that. So, an excellent question, Sister Forney, because as a former trainer, I tell you the best exercise is the one that you will actually do. If you're not going to do it, you're not going to enjoy it, then it's not a good exercise. So, I appreciate that. Let's see, what other questions do we have? This is good. This is awesome, Brother Campbell. This is your journey slash testimony was not in a day. How long does it take to change your habits? Very good question.
No, you're absolutely right. It wasn't in a day. It actually took 6 months. Before, from the time I had that diabetes, that they told me I had diabetes, and the time I got serious, it was about 6 months later that I got my second blood test, and they told me that now I will tell you that my taste buds changed probably in 2 months, 2.5 months. I just and but I what I like about your question too is this is a journey and I'm still on the journey. I mean, you guys are hearing me now. Wait till you see me in the fall. I'm already planning about how what I'm going to be doing and how much. So it's like, so I don't look at it as a one-time race or event or whatever. Lifestyle. This is how I want to be living right till I'm up to 100. And so what I would say is take a little step every day. But the thing is, be intentional about each day what you can do to do something better.
Thank you. Let's see what other questions. Okay. While we're waiting, there may be some questions still going to come through. Just wanted to see if there are any parting words, just some words of advice. You've already shared a lot with us tonight. Thank you, Brother Fluker. Thank you, Brother Cambone. I really appreciate your coming and wanting to share. And I really love what Brother Cambone said earlier about not being a doctor, and so not prescribing anything, but he unofficially did. I think both Brother Fluker and Brother Campbell did the same, both prescribed, because a prescription is something that someone gives you in order to make a situation better, right? So you've already shared a lot of information that is very helpful and provided some opportunities for us to get engaged, get to get active, if you will, especially in the African American male wellness agency space. So many different ways to get involved and be a part of a community that wants to live better, live, be all that God intended for them to be. So I just want to know if sort of like some closing words, some words of advice you give for the men, the women who are praying and supporting, their young and not so young men. It's just some parting words you might have for them, and we'll see if there's any last minute questions come here. So I'll start with Mr. Fluker to see what just some words of advice you just want to give to everyone.
Well, essentially, the word of advice, first of all, is come to the walk, which is August 14th at Livingston Park. We start at 7 a.m. Um, get screened. We will have plenty of screening, so do that. Prioritize your health. And most importantly, I think the thing for me, because when COVID first started and the shutdown happened, I did put on some weight, and then I went the extra mile to drop I think 37 pounds total so far. And the thing that truly helped me was the quote, you aren't starting from beginning, you're starting from experience. So a lot of times we go move forward with any plan regarding our health, and the moment we slip back, it's like, oh, I have to start over. I have to start over. Always remember, you're not starting from the beginning. You're now starting from experience. The advice that we got on this webinar so far is experience. So even if you do slip and fall, and as saints, we all know, we fall down, but we get up. So my advice to you is really just prioritize your health, use your community resources, and just remember that you're not starting over. You're not starting from the beginning, but you're starting from experience. You're taking what you know, and you know that you can move forward with that. I do see one question.
Yes, asking about screenings taking place before August 14th. Are there any screenings that you're having to facilitate or providing resources for before August 14th?
So essentially, we do have community partners that I can send information out for screenings, and you can go to their specific locations because some COVID guidelines have not been lifted as of yet. For Franklin County in particular, they may have been lifted for the state of Ohio, but because of Franklin County having a higher population, we do have different guidelines to go by. We aren't doing anything mass or specific at this very moment. But I do have resources I can push out as well, including, like I said, the Proud Dad Cookout, which is Saturday, June 19th, 12 to 3 p.m. And that is on 1977 Cleveland Avenue, a part of Proud Dad Week. So I will send out information about Proud Dad Week. We will have plenty of health information there as well. That's also leading up into the walk.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Brother Cambone, Mr. Cambone, any parting words of advice? You've always shared so much. But any parting words for us, sir?
This has just been such a good talk about health, but the danger about talking about health is so many times that's all we do. We just talk about it, and we talk about it again and again, and then we talk this year and some of the things that at least I've shared are not necessarily new things that people didn't know. And so what I'm hoping from tonight is that I wrote something down, and I said your behavior reveals your core values, not your talk. So how we behave, what we do really reveals what we really believe. It ain't what we talk about. And so what I'm hoping from, our discussion is that for somebody in the group that they've heard the talk, but what I'm hoping, even starting tomorrow, someone might say, I'm going to behave a little bit differently today. I'm going to, in terms of what I put in my body, in terms of how I move, in terms of how I sleep, I'm going to do something. My behavior is going to change in some little way tomorrow. Otherwise, we come back to the cycle of just talk. And so I just appreciate this forum, and I just look forward what God is going to do in each of our lives as we become more like Him.
Amen.
Amen. Amen. Amen. I'll just say this real quickly. So the Bible teaches us that our bodies are the temple of the Holy Spirit.
Mm-hmm.
So that's big. That's big. But
Mhm.
basically what that means is that we need to be good stewards of it. So
Mm-hmm.
as Mr. Campbell was saying, and we need to not only just receive this information, digest it, but also use it, right? Because otherwise it's useless, right? So we need to be mindful of what we do. And sometimes, as we've been talking about tonight, is we just need to take small steps, game plan to figure out, okay, what I'm going to do different today, what I'm going to do different tomorrow. And, eventually we'll get there. We'll get there. We will, if we're committed, if we can be disciplined, and if we want it bad enough, if we understand what our why is, we can live to our highest potential, be all that God has called us to be, and sleep better, have a better mental health, better physical health, and be able to do more for God's kingdom. So, having said that, I'll pass the mic back to Sister Forney to share a couple words, and then also, I don't know if she may have something about some information about the next Health Advocacy Ministry Forum that's going to be coming up.
Well, first of all, it was such a great idea to have men discuss men's health. It was a great topic. It was a great discussion. The forum was great. I just want to thank you all for joining me tonight, for joining us tonight. And Reverend Chaffin, thank you so much for conducting or leading the discussion. I think we've learned quite a bit, men. I hope the men learned quite a bit tonight. I know that I did, and I'm, not a man, but I learned quite a bit myself. So I just want to just thank everybody for joining us this evening. And it was a great discussion. Thank you so much. And I'll be announcing my next session later on. Thank you all so much, and have a great evening.
Good night, everyone.
Thank you. You too. Everybody take it easy.
God bless. Thank y'all. Appreciate it.
It was great.